Tell me, what are the three major components of three-tier architecture? Everyone respond in the chat. Three-tier architecture. Don't get confused between three-tier architecture and principles of information security. Understand the question. Three-tier architecture. Architecture means something you are trying to build, right? You are trying to build a website. There's a reason. What are the important things to consider when you are trying to build a website? Three-tier architecture. Three-tier architecture consists of web server, app server, and database server. Okay, next question. What are the three principles of information security? The three principles of information security are confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Don't get confused between these two. These two are completely different concepts. The number three doesn't mean like always it is CIA. Okay, depending on the question, you have to answer it. Both for ethical hacking, SOC, for any kind of concepts, three-tier architecture is important because we are trying to build a website with the help of these three servers. Okay, that's good. And we discussed about some of the security breaches that was happened in the past, and how do we know like which security principle got compromised out of CIA. These are the things which we discussed in the last class. Now let us move on to the client server communication. Client server communication. Among this, can you guys tell me which is a device that provides services? Client provides services or server provides services? What do you guys think? Server is a device which provides services to the clients. So server will be mostly one server and clients will be n number of clients. You can see in this picture the server three-tier architecture, the cluster of servers, group of servers are providing services of website to the end users. It can be like thousands of users. I just mentioned only 4 users for representation purpose. There will be n number of users. So we have the server here, clients are these users. So in case of website, client is the one which makes use of the server services. Which one do you refer as a client? Is it a user or a system or a browser? In case of website, which one acts like a client? The client is the one which is trying to make use of the server services. Remember, in general, client is the one which consumes the services of the server. Here, I am the user. I am not consuming any services of the website. Even the computer is also not the one. In case of client server communication of websites, remember browser is a client. Give me some names of the browsers. Try to respond in the chat. You have seen like Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Opera, Google Chrome, Edge. Okay, these are some of the examples of the browsers. Of course, there are many other browsers too. Now, Client sends a request to the server and server will give a response to the client. That's called client server communication. But how are they communicating? Do they understand any language? As a human, you guys can understand the language of English and you are able to understand the things whichever I am trying to convey, right? But how does a computer or a browser knows? Okay, the how does the server knows that okay this user is asking for a login, user 2 is asking for fund transfer, user 3 is asking for some other request. How do they understand? Do they understand English? No, right? So basically in the machine level it is set of instructions. Remember, set of instructions. Again, those set of instructions will be fed by engineers only. But the thing is, in terms of computer networks, the communication between the devices will be done with the help of protocols. Remember the term protocol? Protocol are nothing but set of rules or guidelines that are used by the devices for communication purpose. Very simple. For website, we use one protocol. For emails, we use one protocol. For WhatsApp, we use one protocol. And for VPN, we use one protocol. Like this, there are a lot of protocols are there. Each and every work will be decided with the help of a protocol. That is nothing but set of rules and guidelines. Very, very important concept. Your entire networks will be based on these protocols. Now, I know like some of you have already worked and you have some experience. In case of a website client server communication, what is the protocol that is used for web applications? What is the protocol that is used for web applications? Anyone? HTTP. Of course, there is one more protocol, HTTP. Yes. Remember, these are the two protocols that are used for a website. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Very simple concept, very easy, but very important. You guys need to always remember these concepts. Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Secure. Among these two, which one is a secure protocol? HTTP or HTTPS? HTTPS is a secure protocol. HTTP is not secure. Why it is not secure means because it doesn't involve encryption. It doesn't use HTTP doesn't use encryption. That we'll discuss in the further top today's session. What is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS? For now, just remember websites communicate with the help of HTTP and HTTPS, and among these two, HTTPS is secure. You talk about any computer, web server, app server, database server, or your computer, my computer, any computer, it will have some port numbers. Basically, it has some ports. Ports are basically the logical channels that are used to communicate. For example, cinema theater is there. There will be entry and exit doors. Am I correct? If someone wants to get into the theater, they have to get through some entry. Or if they want to come out of the theater, they have to come out through that exit. Those are physical entry and exit. Similarly, for a computer, there will be ports. but those will not be like a physical port. There will be like a virtual ports. With the help of software, we can open or we can close it. Okay, fine. Now, any computer will have ports. What are the total number of ports in a computer? Anyone try to respond in the chat? Total number of ports in a computer that will be asked in all the interviews. If you remember, try to post it. 65535. Any computer will have these many ports. Ideal case, I want to protect my computer from the hackers. Should I open all these ports or should I close these ports if I want the better security? Close or open? We should not open the doors to the hackers. So ideally, we should always disable these ports. Okay, but few cases we may have to open the ports because of to run the business. Website, we are trying to give the access to the end users. So among all these ports in a web server, 65535, if I am using HTTP website, I want to open a port for the HTTP. Which port to open? Anyone? Port number for HTTP is default port number for HTTP is 80. Remember this. Default port number for HTTPS 443. Very important concept throughout your career. You should remember this client server communication, and the communication happens through HTTP or HTTPS. What is the default port number for HTTP? Default port number for HTTPS. For HTTP it is 80, HTTPS is 443. It is called client server communication. Think like one of this user 4 is also using user 4 and user 3. They are also using one more server that is called email server. Why do we use email server? To send and receive emails. Okay, user 4 sends an email to the user 3 and it has to go through the email server. Now the question is, what is the protocol that is relevant for email server? Anyone? Protocol relevant for email server is SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. What is the default port number for SMTP? 25. Okay, yeah. Remember these ports. Next is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. How do you know, like, with the how do you confirm that the web application is using HTTP or HTTPS? Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Okay, SMTP. I'll give you some websites. You need to tell whether it is HTTP or HTTPS. I have launched GitHub here. Can anyone tell me this is HTTP or HTTPS? This is HTTPS. You observe the URL. This is a URL, and there is a icon here. Click on this to see the site information. Connection is secure, it says. Click on that. Click on the certificate. You can see that this application is secure, and this security is coming because with the help of a digital certificate. Some certification authority will give you the certificate. That certificate has to be installed in the server. Don't worry, in case if you are thinking like you are getting more details. For now, by looking at the website, we can say that this application is a secure one. How about Gmail? Is it secure or not? Again, it is very clear it is using HTTPS. Let me see one more website. How about this application? Is this secure or not secure? Is it using HTTP or HTTPS? The application demo.testfile.net is using HTTP. We know that HTTP is not secure. It is a plain text communication. Even the browser also confirms that this specific HTTP is not a secure communication. Okay. And you can see there is an option called not secure. Click on that. It clearly says that your connection is not secure. Okay. Now let us go back to our picture. In between this users and a website, there will be a network, internet, right? It is not like directly you can access the website. In between the users and between the server, it's not like directly the user is going to hit the website. It goes through the internet. Am I correct? When it goes through the internet, it goes through the multiple devices or multiple hops. But the thing is, try to understand the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. When you are sending some data through HTTP, say for example, I'm trying to send some code like world, some message I'm trying to send. This is a message which I'm trying to send between user one and the website. Through website, I'm trying to send this message. So this message, in case if you are using HTTP, in the internet also, it will be like in the plain text. Anyone can read your data, plain text communication. In case of HTTP. In case of HTTPS, assume like if the application is HTTPS in the internet, this will be encrypted. The same message, it will go like this. You cannot understand what exactly this message is. That is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, one last website. Again, this is HTTPS. It is very clear. Is this secure or a insecure website? Okay. We are not able to launch. This website is secure or insecure? Tell me now. As a security engineer, say for example, I am the client. I came to you saying like, I'm trying to build a website. Do you, as a security engineer, do you recommend HTTP or HTTPS website? As a security engineer, you are recommending HTTPS website. Okay, think like you have recommended a HTTPS website. There are 5 developers in your company. They develop the website, and as a security engineer, you are supposed to test that website. I'm trying to test that website. I'm able to launch that website through HTTPS, but along with that, even I am able to launch that website through HTTP also. Now, if you see that observation, do you report it as a vulnerability or not? Is it a vulnerability or not? Obviously, it is a vulnerability and you need to report. Everyone knows the definition of vulnerability, right? The difference between vulnerability, asset, what do you mean by vulnerability, asset, target, exploit, security breach, we discussed in the last session. Okay, that's good. So in case if you see that application is getting launched in HTTP, then you need to raise a vulnerability or a security defect. The developers are going to fix that defect. As a security engineer, your job is to find vulnerabilities. That's it. Okay, that's good. Let us go a little bit deeper into the HTTP and HTTPS communication. So assume like there are two users, our client and server. We have host A and host B. Two users are there, host A and host B. In between them, just a second. Host A and host B are there, and in between them, there is an internet, right? Through internet only they can communicate. They cannot communicate without internet. Now, I want to send a message called hello. This is a message which I want to send from host A to host B. Host A sends hello message and it goes through the internet. Internet in the sense it will go through multiple devices. It is not like always direct communication to the host B. That message comes and receives at the host B the same message hello. And there are some computers which you are not aware, but you might be aware of the IP, their IP addresses. Say for example, X is here, Y is here, and Z is here. Three systems are there in the internet. That's that's how like the packet network packet goes through the internet. It is like you're traveling from Bangalore to Hyderabad. You have to go through the Hindupur, you have to go through the Anantapur and Karnool, and finally Hyderabad. Basically, the way the packets get communicated in the internet. Okay. So between host A and host B, three systems are there, three nodes, systems or devices. Now, For all these devices, X, Y, Z, in case if they read our data, it will be in the plain text. Hello. Anyone can understand plain text communication. So HTTP is always plain text communication. Now let's talk about HTTPS. As I said, HTTPS is secure communication, right? Let me take the same picture. Again, host A is there, host B is there. Host A is trying to send a message, hello message in the HTTPS communication, but the data will not be like plain text because in HTTPS it uses encryption. Have you guys heard about encryption? That is a part of cryptography concept. Cryptography. Encrypted device, encrypted data. Can we read encrypted data? Do you think we can read encrypted data? I'll tell you, encrypted data can't be understood. Okay. How to do the encryption? Just to understand the concept, I will take a very simple secret key and algorithm. Think like hello is the message. I want to encrypt that with plus one. One is the key and plus is the algorithm. When I say plus one, you need to shift each letter by one position. After H, what is the next letter? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. After E, A, B, C, D, E, F. L, M, L, M, O is Q, P, right? So if X reads the data, it will be in the data can be seen like this. You cannot understand what is this I of MMP. Hello means it is like some kind of secret code, but even Y also sees like that. Z also sees like this. When the host B receives this data, IFMMP, he has to use the algorithm and secret key to get that original data. Can you guys tell me what is the algorithm and what is the key we have to use here to get the plain text? We received the cipher text or the encrypted text. Again, to get back the original data, we have to use minus 1. Okay. What is the secret key here? Anyone? What is the secret key we have used for encryption? Key is, this is the key. See, key is the number 1. And of course, plus or minus is the algorithm. The process of converting plain text to the cipher text, plain text to cipher text is called encryption. Plain text to cipher text or encrypted text is called encryption. Can anyone tell me in the chat what is mean by decryption? Give me the complete sentence. What is mean by decryption? Encryption means plain text to ciphertext. Decryption means ciphertext to plain text. Basically, we are trying to get our original data, plain text data, from the encrypted text. Encrypted text can't be understood because that doesn't have any meaning. We can understand only plain text. As we are using same key for both encryption and decryption, we call this as symmetric encryption process. In case of symmetric encryption, symmetric encryption process, we use the same key. Whereas in case of asymmetric encryption process, there are two types of encryptions, symmetric and asymmetric. In case of asymmetric, in case of asymmetric encryption process, we use two keys. You have to remember those two keys. Those are public key and private key. Symmetric and asymmetric. Just remove this n. Okay. Symmetric and asymmetric process. Symmetric and asymmetric encryption process. Why do we use two keys here then? In asymmetric, there are two keys. Those are public key and private key. Yeah, the algorithm will manage in such a way that if you are using public key for encryption, if you're using public key for encryption, then for decryption, we need to use private key. Or if you're using private key for encryption, then you need to decrypt with public. You understood? It is vice versa. Public and private. How this is managed? How can we encrypt with public and decrypt with public is with the help of algorithm. Algorithm will take care of that process logic. What are those algorithms? What algorithms are there for encryption? What algorithms are there for asymmetric and symmetric? That also we are going to discuss. Among these two keys, public key and private key, one key has to be kept confidential, secret. Which one should be kept secret, public or private? The name itself will tell private, private property, no trespassing. Private means confidential, secret. Always remember in asymmetric encryption process, we use two keys. Those are public key and private key. Public key is public. It is accessible to everyone. Okay. And private key is a secret key which has to be kept confidential. It will be accessible only for the administrators, application owners. Okay. Try to remember some of the algorithms of symmetric and asymmetric. DES is a symmetric algorithm. Data encryption standard. Triple DES also come. DES has become outdated, and then later they discovered triple DES. And the latest one is AES. And AES 256 is there, AES 128 is there. As of now, in our example, I have taken the key size of number 1. This is the key size 1 1. Okay, if the key size is 2, it will be like 0 1 1 0 0 0 1 1. This is the key size of 2. Can anyone guess this key? If I use this secret key, is it possible for a guess? Yes or no? If the key size is 2, anyone can guess it. Am I correct? It is like a password. If the key size is 3, how many combinations you get? Key size is 3. Total number of combinations. Total 8 combinations we get. Key size is 3. If the key size is 4, how many combinations you get? 4. Here 2 power 3, that is 8. And if the key size is 4, 2 power 4, that is 16. So the key size, as and then the key size increases, the combinations are getting increased. For better security, the key size should be more or it should be less. Everyone try to respond in the chat. The key size should be more for better security. You see the algorithms DES, triple DES, AES 128, AES 256. DES is an outdated algorithm. No one are using this algorithm. DES stands for Data Encryption Standard. AES stands for Advanced Encryption Standard. Among AES 128 and AES 256, which one do you recommend to the developer? In ideal case, which one do you recommend to the developer? You recommend AES 256 because AES is the latest symmetric algorithm and the key size is more in AES 256. Okay, that's good. In case of asymmetric algorithms, we have these examples RSA and ECDH. RSA has been discovered is named behind 3 people who invented this algorithm: Rivest, Shamir, and Adilman. Of course, no one are going to ask you in the interviews about their full form. Just remember the algorithm, which is a very complex algorithm, and the key size will be 1024, 2048, 3072, and 4096. These are the possible key size in if you are using asymmetric algorithm of RSA. ECDH is 180. This is a key size in case of ECDH. Considering this, I want a very secured encryption algorithm. It doesn't matter about the performance. I need a very I mean top secret information I want to encrypt. Among triple DES, AES 256 and RSA 1024, which one do you recommend? Security plays a prominent role here. Considering that, which one do you recommend? You have to recommend RSA 1024. Okay, because algorithm is always asymmetric algorithm is stronger and the key size 1024 is more than 256. Okay, that's good. ECDH stands for elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman. This is also secure one. Though the algorithm,
Sir,
though the key size is less, but the algorithm is very strong.
sir, I have a question here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why can't we go with RSA 4096?
Yeah, we can go with 4096 also, but when I have asked the question, I mentioned as 1024. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Among all these different key sizes of RSA, of course, 4096 is more secure than 1024. In fact, it is very difficult for a hacker to crack AES 128 itself. How many combinations of key passwords will come? 2 power 128, very huge number. 2 power 4 is 16. 2 power 5 is 32. 2 power 6 is 64. 2 power 7 128. 2 power 8 256. 2 power 9 1024, right? 2 power 9 is 1024. 2 power 10 another 2. So it is a very huge number. Assume like 2 power 10. Now 128 means 2 power 10 into 2 power 10 into 2 power 10 into 10 times. So 1000 into 1000 into 1000, like the 10 times, very huge number. So the key will be like this. Think like if the key is like this, is it possible to guess? That's it. The moment the key size increases to more than 5 or 6, it is over. Normally, it is very difficult. Okay, I'll show you some of the live examples of the keys. Okay, one more concept is that hashing. Let me finish that. Then we'll see the live examples. As of now, I give a plain text. You are getting an encrypted text that is called encryption. And the encrypted text, okay. Now, this plain text can be 1 KB, 1 MB, 1 GB, or even 100 GB. It doesn't matter, or 1000 GB. The output is always a fixed size. Output, we can generate a hash of fixed size. It can be like 180 or 256. That's it. Any data can be, depending on the algorithm, the hash size will be same. You think like 1000 GB of data is there, you got the hash one. Hash one. You just change or add small data to that file. Dot you have added in that 1000 GB, then hash gets changed. What does it mean? Any change in the input will change the hash. So we can use the hashing to protect the integrity. Am I correct? What is mean by integrity, guys? What is the definition of integrity? We discussed in yesterday's class. Integrity states that only authorized people can modify or delete the data. Am I correct? So any change in the data, we are changing the hash. User A is sending, host A is sending 1000 GB of data, and host B is receiving that 1000 GB of data. Am I correct? I want to ensure that this data is not changed in the internet. So along with this 1000 GB of data, I calculate the hash one, which is of 256 size. I'll send that hash one also to the host B. Hash one. I receive both data and hash. Host B will calculate the hash of 1000 GB and it will check with the received hash. Both should be matching. In case if the data got changed in the network, hash doesn't match with the original one, I can say like someone has modified the data. So integrity is used to protect, sorry, hashing is used to protect integrity. Encryption is used to protect confidentiality. Am I correct? We are trying to protect the confidentiality. We are not revealing the sensitive information just because of the encryption process. Can we get 1000 GB of data from the 256 hash? Is it possible to get that input from the hash value? Anyone? You prepared biryani, okay, by using chicken, some spices. The question is, again, is it possible to get the live fresh chicken from the chicken curry? Not possible. Same thing here. 1000 GB of data is converted into 256 bits. How can we extract this 1000 GB of a file from this 256? Not possible. Irreversible. So the hashing is irreversible. But whereas encryption is reversible. Hash calculator online. Some of the examples of hashing algorithms are, remember the hashing algorithms. MD5, SHA-1, SHA-2. MD5 is old, outdated. SHA-3. SHA-1, SHA-2, SHA-3. SHA-3 is the latest one. MD, MD stands for message digest. SHA stands for secure hashing algorithm. We are done for today. Just a kind of quick revision and a quiz. Okay. How do we calculate the hash? You see here, calculate MD5, SHA-1, SHA-2, SHA-3, SHA-3. Drop files here or hash them all. It is asking for a file, but we can use directly the online tools. Yeah. See here, 1, 2, 3. We'll try to calculate MD5 hash, message digest hash, has this. We got this hash, MD5. What are the different hash sizes? MD5 is 128. Okay. The output of MD5 is 128 bits. Okay. And SHA-1 is 160. SHA-2 is SHA-256 256 bits. These are all old algorithms. MD4, MD2, MD5 are old hashing algorithms. You need to recommend SHA-2 or SHA-3. SHA-2 or SHA-3. Secure hashing algorithm 2. Secure hashing algorithm 3. We'll do some live examples. I give a very long data. What is the hash size of this MD5? 128. See, even for this large data also the output is same. I change small value. For example, 6B, 6C is there. For this input, just add some single digit. Number 1 I add. Earlier 6B, 6C. Convert double BDA. Entire hash got changed just because of small value. If you change some value in the input, the hash gets changed. That's how like we can protect integrity or we can confirm integrity by using hashing. If I use the same data for SHA-256, the length will increase to 256 as this. You can see that hash value got increased for the same data. Which hashing algorithm you recommend, MD5 or SHA-256? You have to recommend SHA-256. Okay, this is all about encryption, hashing algorithms, and AES, AES 256, RSA, ECDH, MD5, SHA-1, SHA-2, SHA-3, and the difference between HTTP and HTTPS communication. Very, very important concept. Even for 10 years experience candidate, they will ask you like, tell me about the different encryption process. What are the types of encryptions? Do you guys want to list down the questions, or else go through the video, note down the questions, and be prepared when I ask you in the tomorrow session? The topics that are asked in the interviews based on today's topic are: the first one, what is three-tier architecture? Second question, what are the principles of information security? Third question, explain about client-server communication in case of a website. Number four, what are the total number of ports in a computer? What is a protocol that is used for a website? What is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS? Which one is secure? What are the default port numbers for HTTP, HTTPS, and SMTP? These are the questions in this chart. What is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS communication? What are the types of encryption process? Tell me about different algorithms of symmetric encryption. What is the difference between symmetric and asymmetric encryption process? Give me some examples of asymmetric encryption algorithms. Explain about asymmetric encryption algorithm. Give me some examples of asymmetric. What is the difference between encryption and hashing? What is the difference between confidentiality and integrity? Give me some examples of hashing algorithms. Okay, these are the interview questions. You should be ready. Try to go through my questions and be prepared with the answers for tomorrow. Go through this picture for 5 minutes. We'll take a small quiz based on the concepts you have learned for today. And in case if you have any questions, do let me know. Lot of theory, but yes, we have to cover this theory before we move on to the labs. Tomorrow I'm going to cover the lab setup so that you guys can have a lab in your laptop. Everyone log in with laptop in the tomorrow session. Guys, how many of you are attending the SOC class? Because both for ethical hacking and SOC, first 1 week will be a overlap. Overlap in the sense there also like the similar concepts will come. It is optional for you to get into this, but still like attend the SOC class. There will be some few things which we may miss. Today we have the SOC from 10 to 11. Yes, of course. Today we have the SOC class. How many of you are attending the SOC classes? Respond in the chat. 5, 6, 7. Okay. Try to log into the SOC class. I may cover little more extra. Okay. Fine. And also like Active Directory is part of SOC. I'll enable the SOC both online and offline. SOC Unleashed is different from IAM. SOC is into the threat monitoring. IAM is all about user identity and authentication and authorization. Today is a fresh class of SOC first session. Yes. IAM will start in the month of June from our institute, Identity and Access Management. Another 2 minutes, we'll start a quiz. Okay. Guys, I want your attendance in this format: name, location, and year of passed out. Or you mentioned like fresher or experienced. Either 2024 passed out. You can. I gave you some example because I wanted to know how many of you are freshers, how many of you are trying with experience. So try to respond with your name slash location slash and year of passing or experience. You can say like 2 years, 3 years of experience like that. Experienced candidates mention 2 years experience, 3 years. Doesn't matter, IT or non-IT. 2025, 2016, fresher. 2021, 8 years experience, fresher. 2011, 15 years. 25, fresher. 2016, 23, 1 year experience, 5 years. Fresher, 2 years, MTech.
Sir, I'm not able to see many messages.
Okay, we'll start the quiz. Reply only to me when you do a quiz. Don't respond to all. First question. Is this plain text or a ciphertext? EDSX, CBQ, WAS, DF. Another 10 seconds to answer. We just discussed plain text means something which can be understood and has some meaning, whereas ciphertext means no meaning for that, and we cannot understand the ciphertext. The answer is ciphertext or encrypted. What is the default port number for HTTPS? Double four three, right? Again, one more similar question, very easy one. 30 seconds to answer this. What is the default port number for HTTP? Default port number for HTTP is 80. What is the RDP port number from the below list? We haven't covered, but still I think you guys should be able to answer this. RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol. RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol. What is the default port number of RDP? If I want to do a remote access to a computer, we make use of RDP. 80 is HTTP, 443 is HTTPS, 25 is SMTP. So only option left is 3389. That is the correct answer. What is the main purpose of the database? Which one do you select out of these four? Independently process, store data, enable the right developer to write the program. The correct answer is the main purpose of the database is to store the data. Okay. Option B. Which of the following acts as a client in case of client server model of a website? SOAP, Firefox, XML, HTML. In case of client server communication of a website, client is a browser. Among this list, the browser is Firefox. SOAP is a protocol that is used for web services. Firefox is a browser, XML is a data format, HTML is a front-end framework. Answer is Firefox. Symmetric encryption uses single key for encryption and decryption. Is it true or false? Symmetric key, symmetric encryption uses the same key or the same single key for both encryption and decryption. How come few people has mentioned it as false? Symmetric means same key or the same single key is used both for encryption and decryption. True or false? It is true. What are the two types of keys that are used in asymmetric encryption process? Among that, which key has to be kept confidential? Two questions are there within this. Answer it with a comma separated. First question, what are the two keys? Second question, which key has to be kept confidential? Remember, the two keys on an asymmetric process are public and private. Private key has to be kept confidential. HTTPS stands for HTTPS stands for another 15 seconds. Hypertext Transfer Protocol secure. Which of the following can be a target for a hacker? Websites, servers, devices, security controls, or all of the above? The answer is all of the above because each of these devices Either it processes some sensitive information or it stores some sensitive information, part of the IT infrastructure, which we discussed on day one, right? The answer is all of the above. Okay, all 10 questions done. Respond to all, no need to reply only to me. Reply to everyone and post your score. That's good. Lot of improvement from yesterday. I see most of the nines and tens out of 10. Fine, guys. Go through the video, list down the interview question and answers, prepare your own answers. I would have mentioned the answers as well, but make it as a note. Prepare your own notes. Tomorrow, we'll work on the lab setup. Course content will be shared in the group, and the lab requirement, the hardware requirements also will be shared in the starting. Go through that and make your laptop ready by tomorrow. Let me show you the requirement. Notes and docs will share you some kind of question and answers. That's not a problem, but not for all the topics. Minimum I3. Okay, then you can go for I5 or I3 or I4, I5, I7. The latest one is I9, which supports processor should be this to support virtualization. So if you are going for AMD, check if it supports virtualization. Okay, that's great. The next one is storage. Make it like minimum of 500 GB storage, and even if you have 1 TB also, that is fine. 1000 GB or 1 TB. RAM should be like 8 GB RAM recommended. 8 GB, 16 GB, 12 GB. If you have 4 GB, then try to upgrade it to 6 or 8. This is a recommendation for the hardware requirements. Get your laptop ready by tomorrow. I'm going to explain the lab setup in tomorrow's session. Okay. Fine, guys. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow again. Bye bye.